Today, we're going to break down a really powerful piece of writing about the modern workplace. It's one of those stories that's also a warning, and one that might feel just a little too familiar to some of us.
It all kicks off with this single sentence. And wow, what a hook, right? It just grabs you because we've all felt that memory of being valued, that promise, and that little creeping doubt in the back of your mind that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't the whole truth.
So let's start the story where so many of our own stories begin, with that big call to serve, that promise that you, your work, and your loyalty are gonna matter. Now, our setting here is a place called Denmark, Inc. And let's be clear, this has nothing to do with the country of Denmark. It's really just a stand-in, a metaphor for any big company, any corporate kingdom out there that asks for your total loyalty in return for a spot inside the castle walls. And here it is, the call to action. This is the company basically saying, hey, we need you. We've got this huge, messy, high-stakes problem, our mad prince, and you're the only one we trust to fix it. It's designed to make you feel completely essential, chosen, irreplaceable even.
So how do the employees answer this call? Well, they follow the playbook perfectly. They show up ready to work, they kind of tuck their pride away, they learn not to make any waves, and they put on that polite, agreeable face the culture demands. It's not just about doing their job, it's about fitting into the machine.
And for all this dedication, all this service, what's the paycheck? Well, it's not really in cash or promotions. It's paid in vague promises and the corporate equivalent of fine print. It perfectly captures that feeling of chasing a reward that's always just around the next corner, but never quite here. Okay, so this is where the music changes. After all that loyalty, after all that service, the betrayal arrives. And it doesn't come with a big dramatic fight. No, it comes with the cold, quiet, polite language of a corporate memo. The weapon of choice here is just a simple memo. And the most chilling part, just how polite it is. There's no yelling, no raised voices, just a calm, detached piece of paper that's about to completely erase everything they've done for the company. So what's in this polite little memo? Well, first, it gives them a new name. They aren't people anymore. They're personnel adjustments. And it doesn't stop there. The dehumanization gets worse. Now they're cost centers, just another liability on a spreadsheet, a number that needs to be managed down. The memo uses all this jargon to strip away their identity, calling them literally everything except what they are, human. And this slide just lays out the core conflict so clearly. On one side, you have the cold, sterile language of the company. And on the other, you have the simple reality of who these people are. That huge gap between those two columns, that's where the betrayal happens. So what are the options for these so-called personnel adjustments? They get three choices. And look at how sterile these words are. You can be exported, redeployed, or quietly deleted. None of these options even hints at the human cost, right? It's the language you'd use for moving boxes, not for changing lives. So let's get to the final act, because this isn't just a sad story. It's a cautionary tale. It's building to a really clear and urgent moral for anyone who has a job. And here it is. This is the absolute heart of the parable. Never mistake utility for love. Your usefulness to a company, how valuable you are to them at any given moment, is a transaction. It is not love. It's not loyalty. And the real danger is when we start to confuse the two. So why does this happen? Because in the kingdom of Denmark, Inc., the real king isn't a CEO. It's the ledger, the bottom line. And when the numbers on that ledger say it's time for a change, all those promises about loyalty and how important you are, well, they take a backseat. This slide just drives that point home with some brutal honesty. In our own heads, we're the heroes of our career story. We're the tragic protagonists. But to the corporation, in the cold, hard eyes of the ledger, we're just line items on a spreadsheet. And that's where the story stops being about this fictional company and starts talking directly to us. This story of Denmark, Inc. is meant to be a universal warning for, well, pretty much everyone who collects a paycheck. The final metaphor here is so powerful. The corporate machine, the wheel, it's huge, it's impersonal, it just keeps turning. And you're an annexment. You're just an attachment, an add-on. You might be useful for a while, but you're separate from the wheel itself, and you can be detached pretty easily when you're no longer needed. And that leads us to the final question the story leaves hanging in the air. It really forces you to stop and think about your own career, your own company, your own Denmark Inc. In their story, which one are you? A hero or a line item?